Well, Brian Johnson's officially out of the building, and now we've got Kliff Kingsbury interviewing for the job, which has a lot of potential, especially with answers for the blitz. Okay, sure, there's negatives too, yet maybe not as negative as what Britt and Covey said about Jalen Hurts. As some of the team members are scared of QB1, what's going on? But first, let's run it.
Jalen Hurts got exposed this year. The expectations going into this season were higher for Jalen Hurts than they were for Dak Prescott. They had the same postseason results, and Dak Prescott had a better regular season. So as hard as I was yesterday on Dak Prescott verbally, Jalen Hurts is going to have to get it too. He's not who we thought he was.
Okay, well, maybe not if you believe what Joseph Sandaliquito and others are saying about QB1, with reports that Jalen shuts himself off from others and defers to A.J. Brown, since Swole Batman's got a great reputation among teammates as a family guy and will hold himself and his teammates accountable. Which, funny, remember back when the media wanted to paint A.J. as the locker room cancer since he'd shown so much emotion and frustration, but now to fit the narrative, we want to paint AJ as the good guy and Hurts as the one who's flawed? Like seriously, some sources even described Hurts as a good dude who sometimes just doesn't realize the fact that he's acting like a prima donna.
Well, Dak, here's the deal. I'm the best there is, plain and simple. I mean, I wake up in the morning, I piss excellence.
Even that wouldn't be too bad, because apparently teammates have wanted to include him in functions, but Jalen just waves them off as he's been described as detached, stoic, isolated, and unapproachable.
I need a name. Now.
All right, well then here you go.
Listen to what Covey said. Covey said, well, I've always had the time to go in and talk to any coach, an open door policy, but I didn't because, I was scared to death to go in there. He equated that to the same thing as Jalen Hurts. I believe I could go talk to him, but I never did because I was scared to death. I've never been around a player that I was scared to death to go talk to. Never. And if a player I thought would put himself in that type of error about himself.
You mean like unapproachable?
Yes, unapproachable. Yes. Saying he was unapproachable. Then this is Britt and Covey. That's not me saying this. This is Britt and Covey's own words. Saying, that, he was scared to death to go talk to him. So to me, that's never been who Jalen was. And if it became that side of him is now being given to his team, that's pretty damning. And that's something that, he's going to have to, do something about.
Are you kidding me? So let me get this straight. Britt and Covey's scared of Jalen Hurts and actually voiced that to the media?
He scares me. Have you ever looked into his eyes?
Sorry, but forgive me if I'm not really buying into this. I mean, I get that Jalen probably doesn't come off as the most warm and fuzzy dude, but where were all these concerns last season? Like maybe it's just me, but I don't remember the complaints then.
Everybody in this locker room, because we talk about being a family. We talk about what that means. We practice that every day. But today, we play together. Today, we had each other back. Today, we played like a family. We played like a family. And we still did what? We still left money on the table. We still left that. And I admire, now ain't no but, and I admire the faces that y'all have here. Like, I love that. I love that because we know what we can do. And we know what we can be. And we know it's in our hands. And that's how it's going to always be. But we continue to take these steps and take advantage of every opportunity we have moving forward, and we can be a really dominant football team. Every time, every play. But we got to turn up in this I'm proud of y'all, man.
Okay, for real, does that sound like a dude who's detached from the team? Plus, despite the hate for Jalen, with some even going as far to compare him to the Carson Wentz demise, there's no way in my mind that Jeffrey Lurie didn't do his due diligence before shelling out $255 million to his franchise quarterback. Again, especially considering the history with Wentz. I mean, surely he learned his lesson there, but what do you guys think though? I don't know, I guess money does change people, yet I still struggle to believe this report's legit, which is why I'm repping Jalen, and let's go ahead and do a giveaway while we're at it. All you gotta do is make sure you're subscribed and then go to the comments and type in breed of one, where I'll randomly draw one lucky winner to receive the Jalen Hurts Blitz t-shirt during my live stream on Friday afternoon. Now look, at the same time, I'm not gonna say Jalen's faultless or perfect because the dude's definitely had his fair share of mistakes. But honestly, with the right offensive coordinator, I think everything changes and we can get things back on track. And on the optimistic side, at least we're headed in the right direction since Brian Johnson is officially headed out the building.
Out you go.
Don't come back.
ever.
Well, apparently that didn't go over so well, because according to Jeremy Fowler, that caused some weird vibes with some staff not happy about the move, feeling that BJ was just caught in the crossfire, which I guess is kind of fair to say since all Sirianni did most of the season was say, "It starts with me each week," and then turn around and fire all of his coordinators.
You are out of your damn little pea-sized mind. Do you have any idea how to run an offense?
Okay, while I still can't trust Sirianni, here's the hope that we can finally find an offensive mind to get the birds humming and improve Jalen's deficiency against the blitz, something Jason Kelce knows one is going to see a lot of.
There's going to be some blitz zero for Jalen Hurts next year. I think there's no question about that. There's going to be some heavy pressure, but I think I firmly believe this. I want that, and I think if you have the right mindset, you should want that, because it's listen, the blitz can be very debilitating, can be very infuriating when you're not picking it up. But there's holes. There's stuff to be made if you can, come up with some really good answers and to really focus on getting better against it. It's definitely a live by the sword, die by the sword type thing. And I've always loved going against Wink Martindale, even though he's a pain in the ass. It's really fun to try and have that back and forth, and when it is picked up and when you do execute against it, you can have success.
Yeah, not really a surprise considering Hurts ranked 28th in the league against the blitz this season. So sure, he's going to continue to get a lot of pressure until he can figure it out. Of course, yes, I'm with you and everyone's with you that Sirianni's scheme was awful, or really just non-existent to help Jalen. Yet there's no denying the franchise QB could also probably work on his checks at the line. But here's the good news. Mike Garafolo reported that the Eagles interviewed USC senior offensive analyst and former Cardinals head coach Kliff Kingsbury for their offensive coordinator job yesterday. And with my personal favorite in Shane Waldron being scooped up by the Bears, the more I think about it, the more I like the idea of teaming up Kingsbury with Jalen. Hear me out. So we know Jalen's terrible against the blitz, but so was Kyler Murray. However, Kingsbury showed the ability to bring up his completion percentage from 54% to 63% in 3 seasons, while also elevating Murray's passer rating from 67.1 when facing pressure to 107.6 during that same span. Which, by the way, Murray's 2021 season had him as the second best quarterback in the league against the blitz. Needless to say, that's a massive improvement, and the hope is Kliff could do the same with Jalen. I don't know, but he couldn't be worse than Brian Johnson. And despite a 28-37-1 record, Kingsbury's offenses improved each season until his final year, but I know the most important thing is winning, so there is that. Although the plus is that his style fits Sirianni's system. Wait, that might be a bad thing. Which is what Shane Half believes, saying, "Are you tired of an Eagles offense that ranked 4th in RPO usage, 32nd in motion, 32nd in under center rate, and 31st in design rollout rate? Then can I interest you in Kliff Kingsbury, a guy who couldn't win games with Patrick Mahomes in college, who fell upwards into an NFL head coaching job, and who then pieced together an offense that ranked 8th in RPO usage, 30th in motion, 32nd in under center rate, and 27th in designed rollout rate." Okay, yeah, I can understand the doubt because we want some changes, and that feels and looks very similar. Yet for a guy who's dealt with multiple dual-threat quarterbacks, I think he'd be a pretty solid option as an offensive coordinator, despite being a not-so-great head coach. It is worth pointing out, though, that Kingsbury's calling card is that he really gets the most out of his star players, so maybe there's that. But curious what you guys would feel about Kingsbury calling plays for Jalen, AJ, Smitty, and Goddard. Now, I should mention that the 44-year-old has also taken an interview with the Steelers, plus Sirianni typically takes a ton of interviews if we learned anything from last offseason. But hey, at least we're getting in the mix in January instead of being late to the table in February. However, if you're not into Kliff, then you could consider Arthur Smith, since the former Falcons head coach has familiarity with A.J. Brown at Tennessee and would most likely get the ground game going in Philly. I just don't think that's what Sirianni wants to do with the offense. Or there's the possible of an Eric Bieniemy, which I've talked about on a couple videos, and even Frank Reich. However, the report is from Rob Maaddi that Sirianni hasn't even called Frank about an OC position. So who knows if that's legit and even going to happen. But I'll be curious to see what the long-term vision is, and speaking of that, Nick and Howie will be holding their presser today, so we'll be live tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern to break it all down. So feel free to swing by and hop in on the chat. All I can say is buckle up, because it's about to be a crazy next few weeks with coaching interviews. But here's to praying that Sirianni can get this one right. This has been the Philly Special.